right. Welcome to episode 6 of. Wait, no.
No, 6.
Episode 6? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me start that over. All right. Welcome to episode 6 of Tailors. I'm Coray.
I'm Matt.
And we are 2/3 of the Trailer in a Box team at Dark Arts Syndicate, along with the lovely John Gartner. We make trailers and cinematics for video game partners, and occasionally we'll take a look at some trailers. This week, slightly new format. We're going to take a look at one game and one game only. And that game is?
Blueprints.
Yes, not to be confused with Unreal Blueprints. This is Blueprints.
I was waiting
every time you say it.
I was waiting until we got into the actual trailer to admit just like how scattered my brain was at the time. I've known this game for a while. It's on my wish list. I'm definitely gonna go ahead and play it. It wasn't until I was actually getting the trailer up again that I realized, oh, blueprints, as in blueprints from a house. It's like
we're gonna break down the trailer, talk about what makes it tick, and then we're gonna remix it with a random genre, either from our friends on social media posting because someone posted last minute, or we're going to roll on our wandering genre table and see what happens.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and check out the Blueprints trailer, and here we go.
To the architect, an empty blueprint represents a world of possibilities.
I give and bequeath to my grandnephew all of my right, title, and interest in the house and land which I own near Mount Holly.
A world of dreams and doorways.
The above provision is contingent on discovering the location of the 46th room of my 45-room estate.
I suspect you wish me to look into your future.
Should my grandnephew fail, then this gift shall lapse.
Super cool trailer. I just played a game that I will reference later that had a similar art style, which I am obsessed with. So I'm obsessed with this art style right now. This sort of like
a cell shaded,
but it's like cell shaded. But I feel like it has a little bit more pencil line work to it. Maybe it's just vanilla cell shading. And I love their cinematic shots, especially. I liked how right at the beginning. I don't know what this story element is, but I have a feeling it's like central. Like they had this cool logo, and it like fades out over this mountain, and then it does this nice pan off to the side. I don't know if that's actually part of the core game itself, but if it's just like a cinematic shot they added as an establishing moment, really nice, cool binocular effect, right? Immediately you just sort of get like, oh wow, this is moody and cool. So definitely awesome cinematic shots, especially that opener. That's my first one. I really liked how the UI fell in, which is obviously like how the UI populates in game, but I like that they just showed it, right? Because it's really satisfying. It's really tactile, and immediately you sort of get a sense of like, oh, this is going to be a game that feels good to play. It's going to have good, juicy interactions, right? And then, we talk about this a lot, music and voiceover, right? I thought both were cool, and in combination, very moody, very awesome.
Excellent.
So, pretty good. I guess if I had one complaint, I wouldn't put this in my top 3. This feels like a sort of like Myst style exploration game. I don't know that I, as a more like strategy and action game player, would be drawn to this. I mean, that's probably a reflection of the game itself. But I wonder if there was an opportunity to reach out to like action players and sort of put maybe even just a few more moments of tension in, to be like, yeah, you're going to have some exciting moments playing this game. Like, I think at the end, maybe there was 1 or 2 shots. Well, maybe that's what they're trying to do with those fades, but maybe it's just something to think about. But overall, great trailer. Really cool.
Yeah. So for my top 3, if you're ready to start with those.
Right, I have to write these down.
Yeah. That's,
I was rewatching the trailer again, and
yeah,
clearly
I was gonna say.
pulled me in.
The first one is the first one is the same thing that you mentioned, is in terms of the actual style of it. I like it when a game is actually going ahead and they have a visual style that they're going for, like a particular vision, and they're not just trying to chase, ultra realistic high render, like top of the line graphics card kind of stuff. It has its own particular like vision that they're looking for and how they can keep to it. I really like the fact that the atmosphere for number 2, like you mentioned, it tells you pretty much what the game's about. To your point, in terms of like, I've remember there's some more action. I think in this case they probably did the right thing. They let you know this is what the game's all about. It's going to be puzzles. It's going to be figuring stuff out. There's probably not going to be quick time events where you have to dodge out of the way of some monster like slashing at you. And that's fine. It's like, this is what it's got on here. And I'm actually going to kind of build on what you mentioned there with like the UI animation, but I'm going to say sound design. And this is just one thing that I saw in there that I liked. You notice when the UI animation slid into place, I don't know if you picked up on it, but there was a very small, like almost like a wooden click, like a click kind of sound. And I think a lot of people underestimate the value of really good sound design, especially for UI. Like when you made a really good point when you said like, this looks like a game that's going to be fun to play with like the UI stuff. When you're doing a game, especially a game that looks like it's a puzzle game where you're going to be using the UI a lot, your UI design and animations and sound design have to be spot on. Like players are going to be using that so often, it has to feel like a joy to do, like it needs to be like a drug. It needs to be so good that you can't wait to do it again in that regard. So those are mine. Oh, and I wanted to mention too, you were talking about the that great shot up here with like the logo. I would not be surprised if that's like a family crest.
Yeah, something that felt like there was something going on there, right?
Yeah, and then it does that beautiful dissolve in there. Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned it yourself. It's like it has that feel of sort of like a Myst game or like a Seventh Guest kind of game where like, okay, this is gonna be a game that I can like sit down, sink my teeth into. I don't have to worry about clicking furiously, hopefully, to actually get through something.
Yeah. Well, and I want to also see, like, when we do the breakdown, I would imagine there's relatively few cuts in this one, compared to sort of a AAA action game like Battlefield, right? So maybe that's a perfect segue into our next.
Funny you should mention that. All right, so a little bit of a tweak this time. Instead of actually going through and me just like sounding like I just woke up as I'm trying to cut this stuff and talk at the same time, we're just going to go right into the actual like breakdown of it already cut up on the timeline. And basically what we're looking at here is that, so like you said, very different from Battlefield 6, which had a whole bunch of cuts. Now, that's also an action game. Usually those kind of things, you want a lot more cuts to like drive home the idea that it's action and excitement and like, blood flowing. And this one is much more thoughtful. It's much slower, more relaxed. But so you've got like your opening segment here. Let me get my pen.
Yeah.
This is just the establishing.
I have some thoughts on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that's cool about that, because that's like a jumbo shot, right? Mm-hmm. One shot for your first 10 seconds of a trailer. Like you're betting the whole kitchen. That's something people bet on your opening shot. A whole kitchen, right? But really what's interesting is it's kind of like 3 beats within it, right? First, you've got right here the logo. Oh God, I tried using the smart drawing tool. It was not smart. Here we go. Right. First, you've got the logo, and then you kind of have a moment where the mountain fades in behind the logo, and then you fade out the logo and do this beautiful long turn. So if you think about it, like it's sort of, and that first one might be closer to 2 seconds. It's like 3 little things that kind of pull you in. Otherwise, 10 seconds is a bit of a risk. Otherwise, I would say.
And they also go ahead and they establish right away in terms of also like the color palette, right? That's entirely that's monochrome. That's all blue. There's more colors later on as you get into the game, but we're hitting you right off the start here. Blue prints, so that's how that whole thing works. All right. One of the things that I really like too is that on this shot right here, whoop, let me get my marker here. On this shot right here too, I don't think this is actually a shot right here though. The overhead over the wall,
Yeah.
I don't think that's an actual shot from the game, but again, it's a very strong establishing shot. You know, it's going to be, maybe that's like from the very beginning of the game when you first come in, but I bet you anything that it's not like going to be the regular vantage point when you're actually playing the game. To your point, like you have these shots here with the mountains and the crossover, and then this one here as well. That's much more about setting the atmosphere, about setting the tone of the game, than actually showing you the gameplay footage. But I still think it's like a very strong directorial shot, you know, like almost cinematic.
Yeah, and I like the psychology of it. It's sort of, you know, those top-down shots sort of impress upon the player because you assume that you're the person in the shot. You're like, oh, there's a larger force here. There's something bigger going on. Like maybe you're in, if not danger, you are at the mercy of this situation. So yeah, super cool shot. I agree.
Yeah, and so you've got that, and then you get into, you know, this section over here. Let me on the top here. This section here basically sets the stage. We were saying the other day about like with the 007 trailer and how like they're introducing 007 and the femme fatale and like sort of the interest in it, but they don't really like talk about the villain that much. They briefly mention 009, but that's kind of it. This one here kind of like sets the story stakes right off the bat, you know? And it's a very classic old school, again, like Miss sort of like approach where it's an old tape recorder that's playing like the last will and testament of the uncle apparently. And it's like, you know, I leave my grand estate to my nephew, my grandnephew, and blah, blah, blah. But so, okay, so now we have the proper contextual framing in terms of sort of like what we're doing there, what's happening. And then this here in particular, this is when they start with the gameplay footage. When they're showing you, and they give you a sense what it is. Like you go to a door. I have a hunch it is one of those you know, situations where you go to a blank door and you pick what room is going to be behind that door. And then once you pick it, you go into it and you might have to like switch it around or that kind of stuff. But so it gives you a very clear idea in terms of what's going on when you get in there.
Yeah, and we talk a little bit when we're working on projects about, you know, finding the magic for a game. And that's sort of finding that compulsion loop where the compulsion loop feels good, but the loop you can kind of mentally project out, oh man, there's weeks of content for me in here. And I felt that pretty hard when I saw it like pop up with the 3 options and like there's little hallways off. I was like, oh yeah, like I would want to do multiple runs. I would want to try going this, and then you get that. And oh man, you could see if you swap those, like your sort of brain like delights in the possibilities. And like showing that, I think they showed it like 3 times to really reinforce the core mechanic. I think that's quite smart.
And this spot right here, this is where they do that very short, if you remember, it's a very short visual of the close to my heart, because I was actually a kid when these things were out there. What was it? 4 1/4 floppy disks, the original floppy disks, where we got the name floppy disk from, you know, like that was actually that was there. So again, it's also saying the time period. Yes, that right there.
Look, everyone, it's a save icon.
And no, actually the save icon is the smaller ones.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, the save icon is the smaller ones because that's the ones that those people knew. But yeah, that's the old school floppy disk. So again, it's sort of like, you know, setting sort of like, I think that a lot of times when games like this, a smart move about that is when you actually when you set it back in an earlier time in history, or at least the vibe of an earlier time in history, you kind of like give it a little bit of like a dreamlike quality, like an ethereal quality to it that sort of like detaches it from like what actual reality might be in terms of a timeline. But like, oh, this is kind of like this older generation type of stuff. So then they go into more of the same in terms of more of this is basically like your timeline stuff. This, I think actually this section right here, I take it back. This section right here, that's when they do a little bit more of like the cinematic shots. Where I don't think that's like what you're actually seeing when you're playing the game like first person, but you might see it like when it's transitioning from one scene to another. Like you go through that broken floor, there's a couple of that stuff. And then of course they come back here with the end of the tape recorder and the uncle going on about how like if my grandnephew is unable to do this, then that gift is retired or something like that. So even then, yeah, like it doesn't sound like it. It's not like Darkest Dungeon where it's like you got to come in there and basically clean out all of the evil, otherwise the whole town is destroyed. It sounds more like you got to come in there or otherwise you don't get the house.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but
Yeah, it sounds right to me. I really liked the last shot because it spoke to me as a board game player, right? You sort of had this first one, right, where you had this feeling of the things flying at you and like all these tiles were like, ooh, I want to play with all those. And then it sort of assembled itself into a board. And it's like sort of like put up a like neon light. It's like board gamers. This one consider playing this game.
Yeah. And they had that one's shot too when you're going through the observatory with the giant telescope. And I have to admit, I did think about the Seventh Guest because there was that one in that one room they had the telescope, and that was the telescope game. There is no possible. so yeah, that's anything else for it? Again, it's
if I had one critique, I would say this middle section here, and this is like this is true of a lot of trailers. It slows down in the middle, right? Because it's just shot of the environment. What I would have loved to see is like some of the more crunchy mechanics. Like they showed at one point, it was like a detail of the workshop tile, and it showed someone turning a wrench. It's like, give me more of that. Like, oh, I have some sort of mechanical. That's cool. Like, what are some of the other weird like rule synergies or like stacks or stuff like that? But again, maybe that's okay because you don't necessarily want it in like a moody game trailer to just be slamming you with so much information. It's like, okay, let's just take a little trip through the environment, and then now we're going to come back with a lot of content, kind of backloaded into this one.
I think also like what they might have been thinking with that one is that this is a game that's very much about exploration. And so they really wanted to kind of like look at the different rooms you can go into and the different sort of like, areas that you can discover, that kind of stuff. So that's where I think that one might be coming from.
So we have a slightly different format for this week. I forgot to post a call for genres. So we, as loyal Dungeons and Dragons players, are going to roll a D20. Wait, no. A D20.
Oh, I still had mine. I'm fine.
And we have a couple, random genres in a spreadsheet, and we're gonna let fate decide. So maybe I'll go first with this enormous.
Yeah.
Oh, on the move. 3. That is going to be an adventure game. Okay. Yeah,
I could see that.
All right. No, and that's for me, or is that for me to give to you?
That's for you.
All right. I'm making an adventure game out of blueprints. Nice.
I rolled a 19, which is a comedy.
The hardest version to write.
So, yeah, I think that let me see. This one I feel like I can make something happen with. So nice. We'll try it.
Nice. All right, we're gonna go spend an hour. We're gonna cut these up. We'll come back with all the battle scars, and then we'll review. Okay. Welcome back. I don't know about you, Matt, but that was way over scoped. Required way too much thinking, and I don't know. I was about 15 minutes late. I went way over.
That's all right. I've done that on some other ones before. I did better on this one, but I was thinking about it ahead of time in terms of like possibilities, and I'm glad I had the extra time to think about it because I'll tell you when we get there, but it would have been a bad way to go. So.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, which one do you want to look at first?
Let's look at yours because I looked at mine first last time. So
I had the adventure genre remix, which is tricky because it's kind of almost an adventure game as is. So I tried to harken back to an earlier era of adventure games, and you might, from the first frame, have a clue of what that might entail. So I humbly present the adventure of the Prince Blue.
Oh. All right. Wow. That was really good. That
It
was
was a
really
little-
cool.
It was high concept, but I was like, okay, like I honestly, I don't think I actually started for 15 minutes because I'm just like, what the hell am I gonna do with this? But I've been playing this one game that we'll talk about in a moment, and I was like, okay, wait, something's happening here. But yeah,
No, that was
fun.
great. My first notes on it. The first one is the old school. I love blueprints.adventure.exe, and then you started out very well done with that. Chef's kiss. The music was nice. It was interesting because it was like, I could have seen you didn't have the time for it, but I could have seen you going down and trying to do like a pixel graphics of it or like other kind of stuff or still images. But it all worked out really nice. And I gotta admit, like, I know we do these trailers for fun. This could actually work as a trailer that you put on like Steam or on the webpage. It's showing the gameplay. It actually showed, you obviously downloaded some other footage.
I had to, yeah, because everything it was actually faster than I thought. Yeah.
So that was actually really good. That's one that I think you could actually pass off for a actual trailer that could be sold now, that could be used for the game as it is. That was really well done. Very impressive.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that. That was fun. I'm glad we picked this one. Little off piste for me.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So mine was basically a comedy, and at first I was thinking about what if I did something with like Home Improvement, like that old TV series, like that kind of a sitcom. And I was like, but then I have to download all this other stuff, and it's going to have like the two of them talking. So instead, I just decided to go ahead and actually, kind of like, I used the actual script, but I recreated the voices just to go ahead and actually make it more of like an actual kind of sitcom. So that's all I'll say, and then you can determine how well it worked. So.
I have no idea what to expect.
Okay, all right, go. I give and bequeath to my grandnephew the house and land of which I own near Mount Holly. Contingent on discovering the 46th room of my 45-room estate. Should my grandnephew fail, then this gift shall lapse. To the architect, an empty blueprint represents a world of possibilities, a world of dreams, and doorways.
Oh my god, that was horrible and amazing. Like any show that has a laugh track, you gotta be like, why do you have a laugh track? But like, that was perfect. Well done. And the applause at the end.
That's why I was like, oh, we'll just do a studio applause, and I'll get some like the laughs in there, and just like really lean hard into the sitcom where like they'll laugh at just saying the words funny. And that's the actual script. I just reread the actual script. I had to cut certain parts out to like make it fit within the time.
Funny.
But that's the actual. If you go back and watch the original, that's all the words that they actually originally used. So I just reread it in a funny voices.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the impact of music and voiceover, right? Like, mine was one level from off of center, and yours was like quite a few more levels, right? But all same words.
Same words, baby.
And also, if you ever really like the writing in a game or really don't like the writing in a game, observe how much a read can change from a good actor can change the words on the page.
Yeah.
All right, so that was our Blueprints episode. I had a lot of fun kind of consolidating it into one. Felt pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll retro it, but for next week, I have a game that I am completely and totally obsessed with right now. I would like to pitch, which is Dispatch from Ad Hoc Studios, which has a little bit of that like sentimental lo-fi 80s retro vibes and an awesome trailer. So that'll be a fun one.
I have played through the game. You've played through the game. It's got a lot of kudos and praise, and well deserved. The writing is excellent. Oh, and you're showing off your cheat sheet. I like that.
This is for my second playthrough. Would a crazy person do this? Anyway, it'll be great. Love that game, and the trailer I think was, it's very rare that I'll go in being like, I don't know if I want to play this game, and the trailer like completely hooks me when I had sort of no intention before, but that's what this trailer did. So excited to break it down. I think that's our episode for this week.
That's it.
Matt, thank you very much for pulling this all together. I'm Coray.
I'm Matt.
And that's John. Maybe he'll pop over there. We're the Trailer in a Box team at Dark Arts Syndicates. If you like these shenanigans, maybe come work with us on a trailer or something. And thanks for tuning in.
Absolutely.